Alright, so I've got my opacitor, my pressure sensitivity working. I'm going to, oops, lost my blue. Just going to paint around. Don't really know where, just kind of everywhere. F10, over to max. L for lasso. And this is the polygonal lasso. Hit Shift L if it gives you, and if you hold down Shift, it will constrain the lasso to either 45 degrees or straight vertical. Enter, tab, Control Alt Shift, click on here, and normally I would make this part of the leg layer because it is the other leg, but because it's going to be so close, I want to be able to blur off the edges of these and not worry about them each other. So Control Shift N, call this leg stub, select, modify, expand to mask, Alt Delete. Around. F10. There we go. Now just the head and the hand remain. Now most people say, why work with so many layers? Well, I'll tell you why. Right now, you're probably just working for yourself. If something looks cool a certain way, you make it look that way, and that's that. That's all that it. The only reasoning you need to make something look a certain way is because you want to. That is not how it works in a production environment. You are never the final say on your object. You either have an art director, a producer, a client, other artists who look at your work and say, no, I don't like that green, change it. And if you have it on a separate layer, you're talking about 5 minutes. If everything on your entire map is flat, then you've got a lot of work ahead of you. And there's no reason to. Photoshop comes with layers for a reason. Some people have crappy computers and can't handle very many layers. In that case, I say, work with as many layers as you can until you get to a good stopping point. Save that as a Photoshop file, flatten everything you've got, make it a new Photoshop file, and start working up your layers on there. There's really no excuse not to use layers, and it will make you lazy about certain things because you'll say, oh, that would be too hard to change. I'm not going to do that. Alright, Control Alt Shift click, select, modify, expand to Control Shift N, and Control Delete will fill with your background color. And I want the palm to be green. Not rosy, green. F10. There we go. Unhide all. See? Look at that. Alright. Control D will deselect whatever's currently selected so that you can select something new. Oh, and actually I did not make that a... Oh, hold on just a second. Control Shift N, head, select fan 2. Mask. Alright, the hand was not a full layer, so I'm going to make it a mask. And now I'm going to control click on this. Control Shift I will invert the selection, so I'm selecting everything but the hand. And Control Delete will fill it. So now the hand layer is just as full as the rest. In Photoshop, save often and save incremental. Because this is so far away and because it's so related to the head, I'm going to put this on the same layer. Go to the head layer, hit delete. If you have, and you'll notice that when you're in the layer mode, you've got your colors you've selected. When you go to the mask, it has a different that are saved. You can still have, 2 different colors selected, and it will keep those when you go back. Hitting D will give you back black and white. Still got colors when you go back. So it keeps a different set of colors here. Alright, I want white in the background so that when I hit delete, it takes out the ear. Now I want the ear to be a little bit of, still painting on the mask, a little bit of blue. The brackets control the size. Just lots of color variation everywhere. F10. Bottom of the feet. Holding down spacebar to move it. Control Alt Shift click, and I'm going to take it out of leg. Alright, so I've got skin colored. Now I want to make his leather colors. New folder, leather, Control Shift N, Speedo. For that, be a nice woodsy. That's too yellow. That looks nice. Holding down Shift to add to my selection. I don't know why I'm so lazy about using the lasso tool. Alright, Now I want to do the straps for these guys. So I'm going to be using the line tool on the mask. U for the line tool, brackets to make it bigger. And I'm going to be painting in white on the mask so that wherever I go it puts a... Now I could use deep paint for this, but I'm not. First I've got to determine whereabouts. There we go. Way too high. Yeah, it's a little tedious, but what can you do? Alright, whenever I'm painting on the mask and I know I want everything in there, I turn. Same deal on the other side. I'm not going to get it exact, just kind of. Alright. Now he also has a pouch up here. And that shows... Alright, I'm going to get this all right just because it's tedious, and I'll start back up when I'm done. Alright, got it all lined up there. Now what I'm going to do is select all of this and hold down Control-Alt-Shift, which is dragging everything perfectly aligned vertical. It's cutting a clone. on the mask. So now I can hit Control T, right click, flip horizontal, and line it up. Enter. F10. Now I've got the exact inverse. Now all I gotta do is make them look cool the way it's connected. Yeah, I like that. And I'm going to connect it across the chest. And I have something cool planned for this later. I'm not going to say what it is yet, though. Alright. Now what I want to do, Control H, is round out some of these lines. They're little B for brush. I want to go ahead and make that nice and flat. I've always got, when I'm painting, I've always got my hand hovered over, the finger hovered over the X key. Back to max. Right, that's a little bit more organic. Looks like I forgot to expand the straps, so they have shadows right now, or seam showing. Select, modify, expand to, tab. And when your masks get close, always give the benefit to the more important piece. There we go, no more seams on the pouches. Alright, and then there's the one around the leg. And I want to make this one pretty ornate. Okay, so I've got all of the masks laid out. Took way too long, but there we go. There's all the brown for the leather. So pretty much everything other than the eyes and the teeth have a color applied to them. I'm going to clean up, modify, expand by 2, Control Shift I, go on both of these. There we go. Clean. Alright, so the color's all laid out. Now I've taken some some cool metal textures. I've got them off the internet. I'm going to use these control bracket. We'll move these things down. I want to put it above the skin. Now it's good to always have something that is being overlaid on your skin. What that does is it can help you from getting too detailed too fast, because you've got a nice little bit of texture already in there. So there's a little bit of color variation. Looks nice, looks nice. Done with that one. This one will give me a nice holding down shift to make sure it comes in the middle. Control T. I've got snapping turned on. The shortcut to turn it off is Control Shift. I can't remember what you call it, colon or semicolon, and that will turn snapping off for you. Or you can go View, Snap. Yeah, Control Shift, colon, I guess. Yeah. All right. This one is blotches. This one is nope, actually this one should be something else. And up and down are what I'm using. You can obviously use the mouse wheel, but I like to kind of pause each time. It's kind of cool. Soft light is what most of my stuff ends up on. That color's nice. Yeah, that's going to be my color. Yeah, that gives a good all over everything. And this will be for skin pebbliness. And for this, I actually want kind of small. Luckily, this is already a repeating texture. Multiply, that looks pretty good. And the overlay looks really nice too. Alright, so I've got me a nice all over kind of crackle. Alright, now I've got, for the skin, I want a soft underbelly. So I'm going to use cream color. Fill it with all of it. And this is not going to have pebble. So put it above. Can you give it a mask, and then Control I, invert it. So now it is on nothing. And I'm going to paint on the mask. Control H brings up this so I can kind of be guided. Now, remember when doing things like this, change your brush size sometimes so that it doesn't all have the same thickness in your application, because it'll actually be able to be felt in the texture that you didn't alter it. Definitely on the inner thighs. Yeah, that looks cool. Limit this where I can paint it. Ooh, that gives me an idea. Control D to unselect. I want the pads of his fingers to be white. Sometimes it's cool to have little happy accidents. Oh, put a little tree over here. Just like Bob Ross. That's kind of cool. I think it may have gone a little bit too far over here. And it might be kind of cool to put a little throw. Be cool to leave the eye up the chin. Maybe? Yeah, I like that. he's not going to have any hair, this will probably help. Alright, now clean up. White will help draw your eye up to the torso, which is kind of going to always be suffering for the attention being stolen by the cool legs. It looks like there might be some potential stretching along here. I might need to play with the UVs real quick. Save this. Tab. Control. Select modify. I want to see if I can fix. Alright, that looks like that did it. Means I need to go in and fix these. Doesn't look like it updated. Guess it did. I know what I need to do. Unwrap to PSD. File, open, wire. Now, I need to kill this one because it's old. Shift drag. And now I know where the new one is. Alright, so I've laid out my color, I've laid out my leather details. Now I'm actually going to start painting some shading. Just like this. And I'm pretty sure I want to see if I can get this thing to work as a blending mode so that I don't have to worry about painting on it. That's probably not going to be an option. Alright, so I'm just going to have to paint on that later. Alright, a good initial... Well, first I want to put in a little bit of lighting. And I'm going to do that. I like purple for an underlight. Pretty dark. Nice cream colored. I'm just kind of going over a basic lighting for everything. Just a little bit of basic lighting. Turn it down for the highlight. An overall general there's a little bit of lighting. And I now want to make this an actual, some kind of blending mode. Once again, soft light works pretty nice. There we go. Alright, so there's the basic lighting. That's just kind of overall everything. Now I want to actually do some detail work. And I'm going to start with the chest. I'm actually going to paint on the chest layer so that I can get some nice color interaction. For now I'm going to hide the white and work just with the green. So I can see it a little better. Alright. I want a bluish shadow. And I want a greenish highlight. I'm going to work at about 40%. Turn this back on. Holding down Shift will constrain everything in a straight line. Smudge I use at about 50%. Now, one of the things I like to do, and I picked this up from who I would like to say is my good friend, but I've never met in my life, Van Gogh, and that is always try and make your strokes follow the direction of your surface you're trying to describe. At any point in time, it's good to do a little bit of change in your colors, just so that it doesn't get too monotonous of a feeling. Another good thing to having a good mesh flow is I can pretty much tell exactly where everything's going to go. Probably shouldn't pay attention to this area too much just because the white's going to go over it, but it's kind of fun to play around. Now, if everything you do is soft, it will be felt. So you want some things that are hard. So going in with a single pixel brush will help with that. Every once in a while I like to look at it with the stuff taken off, just to kind of see what's going on. Looks like I made a mistake that I seem to be making a lot lately. I'll fix it in just a second. And that's not bringing the shadow of the chest high enough. But this is something I picked up from Hyper, and a little bit of Bobo too. A hard line, a dark line next to a light line will always look deeper. Than it really is. So I'm going to take look at how you see flat sternum right along here, and then the chest just pops straight up. Now, the ways that you want to differentiate it is it can't be as bright as the brightest color on the top surface that's actually facing the light, and it needs to be a different color. If you do that, then it'll read as it's still lower than this or this, but it feels like the surface is changing direction. It goes up, up, curves down, curves down, curves down, hits at a 90-degree angle, flat surface, straight across, oh, up again, 90-degree angle, and then around. And that's what that color change will do. Back to the yellow. Now I'm going to change and do the same thing for up here. I'm going to change to a blue, greener. Still make it dark. Concentrate. See if that's green. Yeah. That helps that read. Oh, you know we haven't given him yet. I know he wants it. Nipples. Make sure placement's good first. That's good. Top, bottom, this up. Oh, look at that, perfect guide. But one of the things you'll actually find is that you'll find a lot of coincidences. If when you have you've built your mesh that flows with the way the body works, you'll find a lot of coincidences like that. And it's because in your mind, when you were sculpting this, you were making a plane for the nipples. You may not have thought you were or remembered doing it. That's in fact what you were doing. Nipples. Alright. cool. This coordinates pretty good with the sternocleidomastoid. So let's shutter that. Yeah, that looks good. There is also the thin sheet of ribbon going from neck down. And this guy is wiry as hell. So there's that. And I want to make it look like it's attaching below. So like this. There we go. Change the color around again. Now if you do that, you won't have to worry about your too much color or lack of color variation at the end, which is a problem a lot of people have, myself included. Undo that. I should be painting the lighter opacity. Come on, there you go. Something like 3. Oh, what the hell? I was painting way too low. It's like the side of the deltoid. It's up here. And I'm probably getting a little too detailed too fast. That's the other thing. When you're working on your own, it's fine to take, 4 weeks to make a texture. It's done when you say it's done. That's not how it works in the business. Sometimes you're in the middle of a project and your art director comes and says, hey, guess what? You're done. We're moving on to something else. Or it's ship. Alright? Now, what can happen is you can either A, your head is perfect, beautiful, totally done, awesome, great looking, and there's nothing on the rest of the body. You can't put that in the game. The other option is you've been building it up piece at a time, all to it, keeping it within about the same kind of finished state, and your art director comes and says, hey, that's done. And yeah, it's not your best work, it's pretty mediocre even, but you can put it in the game, it's not horrible. And that's a little low. I don't know anyone with a tricep that low. See, whereas I wouldn't want to leave the line that ugly without these overlays, it's like, what the hell is that? I don't mind leaving it with it in this kind of a state. And there we can see what I'm talking about. getting a little bit of a too much of a contrast with the my color overlay layer. Yeah, that's the one doing it. Yeah, because it's on color. Alright, put it back on normal. Here's what I'm going to do. High pass. Edit, fade, high pass, change back to luminosity. Alright, what's on the color? Color. Now it should be a little more even-handed. Yeah, it looks a little better. Anatomy. And this is the kind of stuff you're just gonna have to. I can't tell you why I'm painting this stuff in just a tutorial. You need to go take some life drawing classes if you don't understand what exactly I'm doing here. Not saying my life drawing is the best. Not in the slightest. And I messed up big time. And the other thing, if you don't know your anatomy, don't blindly follow what I'm painting, because I don't know my anatomy as well as I would like to either. And if the only thing you know how to paint is a green forest goblin because you watched me, then you're not gonna be able to. It's why I hesitate to make tutorials this in depth, because I find inevitably people try to copy them verbatim, which won't help you at all. The other thing is that I have certain muscle groups and things like that that I like to stylize a certain way. And they're not correct, but I like the way they look better if I paint them a certain way. And you probably will too. So don't blindly copy my anatomy. It's not because it's something I don't want people to know. It's because you're then doing a copy of a copy. I'm copying what my impression of what real life looks like. And then you're copying your impression, my impression looks like. And it just ends up looking bad. See where this plane is. And I actually want to shadow right here. And then pick a different yellow color right here. By doing a different color, it should look like, if I ignore it, is you will see gradients at different angles. So I want to see the curve of the muscle going around to the front, but then from the side I also want to see the curve of the muscle going around to the back. No, Bobo is going to kill me for telling all of his secrets. Pretty soon all of his powers will be mine. Alright, there's another thing that people's stuff is missing. That is lost and found edges. The idea of the lost and found edge is that you lose it and you find it. How it works is you don't ever want something to continue at the same sharpness or hardness that you started from. So if you have, I'll show you over here. That's not going to go in there. Let me save this. Alright, so let's do a vein. The characteristic Bobo vein. Alright, so from start to finish, I have this thing, the same hardness, the same thickness the whole way. And it looks like a big, cartoony vein. Step on back. Now if instead parts that kind of fall away. You have parts that stay really sharp. Sometimes the shadow might get more intense. Looks a bit more realistic. You can even go in and blur out a section. But if you have all hard edges, everything changes its surface degree 90 degrees every time, every single time. It might look good. Each part might be successful. Each part looks like a scapula. Each part looks like a clavicle or a vein or whatever it is you're defining. But as a whole, it's going to have this homogeneous, weird feel that you won't quite be able to put your hand on, and you probably won't even see it or notice it because you're so involved and wrapped up in your work. You've been looking at it for too long, but other people will feel it by varying whether it's hard or soft. Like right now, these things are way too defined, so I'm going to go blur them. Also remember that shadows get longer when they go on the underneath of something. So where the shadow back here is a certain distance up here, and it should be pretty small, gets much wider down here, and I actually need to vary it up. So it goes from real thin, a little bit bigger, real big, and then it should get thin again. See if I can get this thing working. Screen might work. I'll try some other methods. Color dodge is probably not going to be it. It's just going to look like a sunlight. Mirror dodge. Actually, that might be a winner. Back it off even more. I like that. Now the fact that the pebble is on top of it means that we're going to have to be more careful with rendering method. Roundness to it. There. Try and use the texture to kind of tell you where to shadow. But again, don't ever be too heavy-handed with the blur brush, because it's good to have some texture. If everything's blurred, it's going to look all cracked out and messy. That's why it was being flattened so much. I was not paying attention to the outside. This is just to kind of vary up, make it look more like this is actually some kind of thing that Skin's doing. if it would look cool or not coming up on the pack. Look too cut out. I like it better up on there. I think I want to make this more, rather than just a wear mark, I want it more like an animal coloring where it comes out in different shapes. Just kind of being arbitrary in the way I do it. Alright, well that's going to be tonight's save and reversion. File. Exit. Let's see what we've done. Worked on the torso. We laid in blocked in the color. We blocked in the light, a little bit of overall lighting, and then we put in texture that would be there from the very start that you don't get rid of, and then we started painting the details. So that's what we've got so far. Alright, save. File, save as. Sponge. Oh, 1. And I had been saving that whole time, but each time I come to a stopping point, I'm going to do a new one because I've actually lost Photoshop files before, and that sucks. Alright, that's this section.